has been recording for a while, so now we can sync the audio there.
One. Perfect.
Hi, hello, welcome to the CIS Podcast, the show where we talk about computers and other relevant things, hopefully. And as you can see, today is a somehow relevant thing. It's Pi Day.
Happy Pi Day!
So, to be honest, I actually don't entirely know what we're talking about other than Pi and Pi Day and other random things of sorts, because, to be honest, this one was not fully my idea.
That's okay.
But
well, we can start just by talking about pie. And, of course, Pi Day is not just a day to eat pie, but it's specifically talking about the number pi, which, Dan, can you recite it to 20 decimal places for us,
How
please?
far do you go?
I can go probably maybe 10. Let's see. 3.14, 159265. Oh, come on. I can't be one short from 10.
See, that's as far as I would go. I'd just start making stuff up after that, and nobody would know. Because none of you guys know it further than that.
Yeah, about the only other person I think who would know is Mr. Manning, but
I think 3.5 might be the next two. I'm not sure.
so I don't remember if he has it like written outside his...
3 point. I'll do it as far as
Do it all
I
in
know.
one breath.
Yeah.
Oh,
all in
gosh.
one breath. 3.141592657. I round. It's
3.1415926. That's as far as I
5-4.
usually go.
3.141526535897932384624338327950288 419-716-939-37510-582. I'm gonna stop there.
I don't know.
I was
I
about
think
to
we could
do
just
the
do that for the rest of the
Jeopardy
podcast.
Can I just be in the
We're
background?
just sitting here eating pie. You can eat it as long as you want to.
No,
This is really good, by the way. Thank you.
I was sitting in discussion about this podcast. I'm just like, how are we making this relatable to any computers? I'm just sitting here like Raspberry Pi. That's about it.
About that. Yeah.
No,
Josh, actually, top drawer of my desk.
Ooh.
If you want to run over there,
Oh, Pieception.
there is a pie.
And all the viewers say, "How is this a pie?" Show them like nice.
Only
And
with
oh
those
yeah, here
sitting-
I'll grab the.
they gotta see what this is.
No, that's a Pi 3. Very nice little computer. So that's one way that Raspberry Pi, or that Pi relates to the world of computing. Do you guys know any other ways that Pi relates to computing?
Well, computing doesn't use any math, right?
No.
None
more or less
whatsoever.
none. No,
No.
It's mostly English. This is going to be a very interesting podcast.
I'm already coming up with dumb names to call this podcast, but just calling it literally Pi or literally just Pi.
Just put the first 100 digits as the title.
Yes.
Yes.
Do it.
3.14 blah blah blah. So now you know why it's called the episode it is. That I did.
Problem is, if we come up with anything better than that, we've just made the last 3 minutes completely useless. So.
Even
Yeah.
better.
We won't
Even
come up
better.
with
It will be the evolution of the name of the episode.
It's like Seinfeld. This is a show about nothing.
Yeah. So Pi and computing. Come on, there's got to be things that we can talk about with Pi.
I mean,
and
you
computing.
can use
numbers.
So I know that there's I'm hoping I'm getting this right, but there's a CPU stressor, right, that calculates pi. It's a good way to just make sure your system's stable and reacts well to a lot of heat.
There's a benchmarking software.
What's it called?
I don't know what it's called.
Pi. Let me see.
Wait, is this actually a thing?
Yeah. It's
Oh, because I know you can
No.
crash your computer by trying to calculate all of pi.
Well, yeah,
Well,
because
it
it's
doesn't do it quite
yeah.
that fast.
Okay. But there's actually something that'll
It
stop
tries
as
as
your...
hard as it can to calculate pi, and that makes
Huh.
it work hard. Then you can find out how well your computer can handle calculating pi.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you tried to do a loop until you had reached pi, it would be an infinite loop. It wouldn't necessarily crash your computer, though.
Super pi. That's what it's called. Super pi.
Have you guys heard of the Monte Carlo method of programming?
No.
Okay, so
The Montessori
there's...
method.
What?
The Montessori method, you just put the kids in with the programming, they just kind of gravitate towards
Careful, you might have some homeschool.
hot coals
Yeah,
there.
offending some
So
people.
this is similar to that theory of all the monkeys just randomly typing something and eventually you'll get.
So Monte Carlo method has to do with randomness, as Monte Carlo might suggest, but it's actually a way that programmers will try and calculate a actual number. So, for example, think about pi. Pi is related to what? The area of a circle and the radius of a circle. So if you take a square of 1 unit, so 1 by 1 square, and you put a circle inside that.
Yep.
The amount of random spots inside that square is proportional to the amount of area that you have in the circle versus how much area you have outside the circle, right? You're kind of following me?
Yep.
Okay. So if we wrote a program that simply defined a random spot and then kept track of whether it was inside the circle or outside the circle, we could eventually come up with a proportion of the area and thus calculate pi. So it's a fairly inefficient way, but with 10 random spots, you can calculate pi to 1 digit. And with 100 random spots, you can calculate pi to 2 digits.
What's the advantage?
For calculating pi, none whatsoever. There's a lot of other applications for it in trying to understand. I think they use it in radioactive decay a lot, and trying to figure out the randomness of radioactive decay.
Well, Shirley is trying to calculate pi right here.
I think we call that a diameter.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, no, we're just all going to stare at me fail at cutting this pie. Is that what's going
That's
on
why
right
I cut
now?
mine before we started.
This one wasn't cut. Therefore.
To be fair, I made these. This was store-bought, and I made these. So you can see the amount of love that goes into this podcast.
And I drove him there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he
so much
drove
love. I mean, like...
to the store to buy the ingredients.
Oh, so that is a store-bought pie. You just have to
I did purchase.
some assembly required.
So unless your mom grew it at home, all of your meals were store-bought. In that case.
I mean, on the brief subject of this podcast, Get Some Love, I had fun editing the thumbnail for the previous episode. I went into the auditorium and like sat on the floor, but then like tried to make it look like I was hanging, like trying to like pick myself up off of onto the stage. So then I made it look like I was hanging off of a cliff, and it was kind of fun. Because otherwise, most podcasts I take a screenshot of a scene where everyone's laughing, and
Was the goal to use that graphic as a cliffhanger?
it ended up being one full episode. It was an hour and 12 minutes.
Yikes. Is that one out?
Yeah, that one is out. Because Sam was like the first person to tell me. Yeah, so I watched it, and in the back of my head, I'm just like, you poor soul. Like, thank you, Sam, for watching it, but I'm just like, an hour and 12 minutes. Holy cow. That's going to take some dedication to sit and watch the entire
so
thing.
I'm going to have to watch it.
I don't think
know.
I've seen our podcast.
Yours was the very
great.
first, in my personal opinion, I thought the very first one was like good and like the way I wanted it to be edited. And then some have had a little bit less love because of the time of which I was editing it. So.
I enjoyed the gaming podcast.
Why did I grab the smallest piece? Dang it!
Take the other smallest piece next to it, and then you'll have the same size as that one.
Okay.
Because circles work that way.
Anyway, so
we can use
off of that
software to
tangent.
calculate pi,
Yeah.
but that doesn't really tell us, like, does a computer use pi at all, or is it unrelated?
It uses pi when it's calculating circles.
That's a good point. So 3D graphics, you know, there's arcs in 3D graphics, which are going to have radians, degrees, different arc lengths, which is going to use pi, in fact. So
Pretty much anything you're doing with angles as well, I'm probably going to use it in some way or another.
use pi somewhere. Do you guys know that pi is used quite frequently in cryptography?
I wouldn't be
Well, that makes
surprised.
sense.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because it's unending, it doesn't have repeating patterns.
Uh-huh.
Now, we'll have to get to that later because I have a question about that. But so with cryptography?
The big word.
Cryptography, not cryptology, which would be the study of cryptographs. but
Okay.
Cryptography, the act of...
That's the
So
graphic.
with that, I'm imagining that element of randomness could come in handy for hashing.
Or actually for encrypting. Well, so think about if I wanted to encrypt every letter in a word. Let's say I want to send the message hello to Josh, but I don't want you two to hear that I said hello.
I'm special.
So I'm going to encrypt every letter of that by shifting it so many characters up or down the alphabet. So we'll say just +1. So H becomes G, E becomes F, L becomes M, O becomes P. I hope I got my alphabet right. Okay? So I make hello into that random string. If I send that to Josh, you guys look at it and you say, oh, this is just hello. I can just shift that down 1 and I'm back to hello. Very easy to crack, very easy to break into. But if I shifted each character a different amount, so let's say I shift the H1 and then I shift the E2 and the L3 and then the second L4, so that the L's don't end up being the same
Yeah, because otherwise it'd
encrypted
be
letter,
easier to crack.
it's harder to crack. All right. Now let's say that he and I agree on a random place to start in pi.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, yeah.
And so if we start, let's start at the beginning so that we can all, because we all know 3.1415, we can get that far. So the H goes 3, and then the E goes 1, and then the L goes 4, and the next L goes 1, and so on and so forth.
That would be a very secure way to do it, because it's the most obvious. It's starting in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's like a reverse psychology thing.
They couldn't have possibly started.
They would never.
So, do you guys know, in the first billion digits of pi, how close to repeating the number pi comes? So it starts 3.14159. How close does it come in the first billion digits of pi?
Well, that was my question. How do we define repeating?
Like how often numbers would show up close to each other, or like
So it
in a
never
pattern?
repeats. Period.
Repeat? What do you mean by repeating? Because I see two nines sitting right there, 2 4s.
So repetition is whatever is there happens again. So 3.14, 3.14, 3.14.
Yeah, but there has to be a minimum length where it won't repeat. Because I see a 5 5 here and a 5 5 there. So is it like minimum 3?
No. So I wrote a paper on pi.
You
Sorry to hear
would.
that.
In my master's program, I wrote a paper on the number and the
Wait, was that like for the summer
homogenization.
or not the summer? I don't
This was
remember
years
when that
ago.
was. Okay.
It was years ago. But I wrote a paper kind of analyzing pi to figure out if there's repetition, if there's cool patterns. Does my birthday happen in pi? And it does. Just once, though.
So that means mine happens in pi too.
In fact, almost everybody's birthday happens in the first billion digits of pi. The cool thing about pi is that it's perfectly homogenized. Very rarely do you have the same number. So you were noticing 5 5 and 9 9. Find a triple.
So triples is where it starts not repeating.
Well, see, you're using repetition as repeating the same digit one right after the other.
Or rather, here's
a
a 731.
sequence
Is there another 731 anywhere else?
There's one more in the first billion digits of
I
pi.
love how you know that.
How do you know?
Because there's 4
Because
digits.
if you just there's
So this
four
is the really cool thing about pi is that it's perfectly or almost perfectly homogenized. So there's one of the questions that I had when I started studying pi was, is there a number that pi favors? Are there more zeros than ones, or more 9s than 3s, or more 7s? And within a billionth of a percent, they're all evenly utilized. Which is crazy.
To the extent that we know pi.
To the first billion digits,
first
which is
billion.
all that I did. I think we know further than that, though. I think there was an article a few years ago about how we've reached the end of pi because there's no point to going any further.
So it's not that we
It's
truly
just
reached
for
the
people
end.
like-
It's just we don't feel
When
like
somebody
going any
says there's no
further.
point, that just prompts people like me to just go ahead and continue.
Oh yeah.
That, yes, we could figure out another digit, but there would just be no reason to.
I'm currently scrolling through the first million. Just so viewers know, I'm not just like doodling around on here. I am looking at pi right now.
Yeah,
This is
it
all-
like
Although he does do that.
because you were like
pi.
you were scrolling so fast to the point like your screen was glitching a little bit. I'm like, there's just so many numbers.
Yeah, you sit next to him in a network.
No.
That's actually what I'm doing the whole time.
I think the best example
Learn.
was when we were in missions and evangelism, and we had our debates.
Wait, I don't remember that class. Yes.
Yes, it was last
Forgot that
semester.
day.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Glad that you learned a lot in that class.
Oh no. Okay.
And during the debates,
there
he
was
would be
a
up
reason
there
for this.
with his little what do you call that?
Tablet. Nice
little
tablet,
tablet.
right? And he's just pounding away at the keys.
I am making notes.
writing all these things during the debate, like as if he's planning and he's like researching all this. He's just writing nothing. Like
See, okay, there's
you weren't
a
even
reason.
doing anything.
There's a reason. Let me tell this story. I had to argue. So we would have a theological debate, and I had to argue that hell wasn't real. And I believe that hell is real. So, and it is. So I had to argue this thing that isn't true and that I don't believe. That meant I was already kind of fighting a losing battle, right? Because I have to convince this audience
Right.
that hell isn't real. Fighting a losing battle already. So I'm like, let's use psychological warfare. And I'm like, we got to use every edge we can. So I was very careful with body language and just like all of this to try to intimidate the enemy. I mean, the opposing team.
The enemy.
So you should have been like flipping through your Bible, like.
Yeah, I did a lot of that. There was a ton of note taking that was just. I am writing a lot of notes right now. They are a lot of words, and it is intimidating. So, and then like when they would speak, I would be very relaxed and open, and almost just kind of laughing at them. And
Go ahead, give us your best shot at
And I think-
explaining your point.
I think with that, I was able to win over a few audience members. We still solidly lost, but
Okay, I was gonna say,
There
please
was-
don't tell me you won.
So there was
Please
a
don't
reason
tell me
for
you
that.
won.
It's always sad to be on the wrong side of a theological
And then
debate
end up
at a Bible
winning.
college
It's like everybody here, it's their job to be right on this.
Yeah.
Anyway, pi's a cool number. Perfectly homogenized. I think that's where I left that one off.
No.
That's pretty cool.
So using cryptography quite frequently for encryption, decryption. And right now, asymmetric algorithms. Sure, you guys used asymmetric encryption algorithms. Josh, trust me, you've heard it in one of my classes.
I'm like, depending on how our line goes, is a different story because whether or not I remember it.
Asymmetric meaning that the key that you use to encrypt the message is different than the key that you use to decrypt the message, which is really cool.
So witchcraft.
More or less. We don't teach that at a main.
No.
Try not to damage the reputation in school here.
So Seth, do you want to tell us a little bit about the pies that you made?
Yes, this is it's a lemon custard pie right here. This one is a strawberry rhubarb pie with an impromptu crumble topping.
Nice. It looks like oatmeal and
it was supposed to be
sugar.
a topping and then it was not.
Well, I realized after I bought this stuff that I really should have a top crust, but I was not going to go to all that kind of trouble. So I found oats, I found sugar, I found cinnamon, and I found flour.
And butter.
I found butter.
And by found, you mean you found these in the student kitchen and there's some student who wants their oatmeal tomorrow.
I found them at the store where I bought them.
Okay.
That's a lie. I found them in the student kitchen. But it was like, a quarter cup of oats.
If you're missing a quarter cup of oats out of your oatmeal, Seth Meyers will reimburse you.
The canister was dusty, okay? If you wanted your oats, you should have
been eating them.
I was going to try that until you said that, but
I mean, dusty on the outside, and I cleaned the mice out first.
There it is.
There it is.
Although for impromptu, it's pretty good topping. I gotta say.
I've been doing crumble toppings like this for a long time, actually. I enjoy cooking at home, and crumble toppings just come in handy.
It's not a,
you know?
Oh, I see why.
You make a thing, and it just needs a crumble topping, and you don't have to work at it really. You find some oats, find some flour, sugar, and butter, and cinnamon, and combine them until it feels right.
Pretty much sugar and butter, and combine them until it feels right is about all that you need for cooking.
It's a very relativist exercise. You just whatever feels right for you is going to be right.
Seth, did you made cookies? Yes, you did make cookies.
I did.
With a little bit of coffee.
Chocolate cherry mocha balls.
That's right.
Ooh,
so, for Christmas, for our Christmas CIS party, we had a cookie competition.
That's right.
He didn't like them.
I didn't. I really did. It's the coffee. No, I couldn't do the coffee.
Really?
No, I hate coffee.
Coffee is not what's in there. There's most definitely that can of
But you honestly are one of the very few people I know who actually hate coffee.
You know? Incans once discovered coffee. Shortly thereafter, they were extinct.
Coincidence?
I think not.
No, but on the subject of coffee, like, since I was just in Canada, like, there's a thing I would love to find in America, but I doubt it because that's probably just a Canada-specific thing.
Milk in a bag.
That's in America.
Oh yeah, I buy all my milk in a bag.
But no, like
Yeah,
these
it's
like coffee crisp type thing. It's like it's like a wafer cookie type.
Yeah.
Thing. It's like chocolate on the outside, but it's like coffee flavored, and they're really good.
And he would hate them.
Yeah, so basically, but like they're like really good, but like only in Canada. So like we had some on our way back, crossing the border back into America, but then it was just like, we'll never get to have this again unless I like special order it. Oh.
Yeah, did anything happen on the trip going in and out of Canada?
Crossing the border was not much of a big deal. Like,
like
they checked our bus, but like all they did was like scan our passports and make sure that like they're fine and whatnot. So otherwise, like not much happened. So well, in regards to crossing the border. So
did you enjoy your pie?
I did enjoy my pie.
Excellent.
It's over now, though.
Excellent.
There's
That's
more pie.
No, there's not.
I need to send you a video because I found a video where it's just called like the $10 computer, and it's like a itty bitty like Raspberry Pi thing, and like I watched the guy like tried to run a YouTube video and it could like barely.
Yeah, so this is a $35
video.
computer. We can talk about the Raspberry Pi.
See, that's what they say. The new one comes out. They're like $35 computer, folks. And then you go to buy it, and it's like, $35 computer, folks, now available for only $75. Because you can't buy just the computer. It's always the kit.
You got to get the power supply.
It's always
the
the
nice little case and whatnot. You can get just the board. You just have to know where to get it.
It's hard to get hold of as a casual.
But this one, this is the Pi 3, and I don't think there's a newer one than this one out right now.
3A or B?
It is a Pi 3 Model B, version 1.2, came out in 2015. But this one has a fairly nice CPU on it, and I think it has 2 gigs of RAM built in, as well as wireless built in, which was a big change from the 2 to the 3. And so, yeah, plug this thing into power, and you can remote desktop into it and do just about anything you want with it with just a power cord plugged into it, which is pretty cool.
I go through phases where I almost buy things like this because I'm like, I could do so many. Okay, I don't actually have a practical purpose, but there's just so many ideas. I can't justify the purchase yet, though.
Yep.
But one day.
I did the same thing, but on a much larger scale with just computers. I had this habit. I would have a processor, an extra processor laying around.
We've all had that problem.
All had that problem. Yeah, it's actually one over on the shelf right now. And it's so hard not to just go buy a case and a motherboard and just put it together as a computer.
And everything else.
Just a couple $100, that's all. I have this extra hard drive. I could totally build a computer around it. I have no purpose for this new computer, but I totally
you
could.
just end up with all these computers. I put a couple years ago, 3-4 years ago, I put an ad out on Craigslist that I was looking for free computers. I just said, I want free computers. I got free computers. It was surprising. People were really excited to get rid of their computers. So I came up with 20-some laptops and a carload of desktops, and I proceeded over the course of the next couple months to just kind of go through each one, and I found, tax documents, and that was great. But
oh no!
Yeah, people are not smart about these things, but which I,
you
of course,
immediately deleted and did nothing nefarious with in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, it was really interesting to see the inner financial workings of this one restaurant in my town. But anyway,
I feel like by the end of this,
I didn't see it. Nope, not at all. Nothing to see here. Okay, hi.
I feel like everything that Seth has said, like there's been 3 times where we need a disclaimer at the podcast. By the end of this, Seth will be arrested 3 times over.
We could just redact Seth's spot, just put a big black square.
Oh look, he seems to not be seen anymore. Oh dear.
Like
There's a big black box.
Free computer, that's how I got my first computer. It was from the school that I went to high school at, and they were essentially just throwing out computers. And I said, can I take one home? And they're like, yeah. This is junk. And I should have realized that the school that I went to was not the wealthiest school. In fact, it was the exact opposite of the wealthiest school. Yeah. So the computers that they had were terrible. So the ones that they're throwing out as junk were even worse than terrible.
Excellent. So what did you do with it?
It was an AMD K62, and I actually brought it with me my first year at MAS. Yeah, look at the benchmark on that. The 400 megahertz version of the AMD K62.
400 megahertz.
400 megahertz.
All right. I think my watch runs much faster than that.
I loaded Windows 98 on it for a time, and I had Ubuntu 6 on it for a time, but that was one of the first computers that I brought with me to MAS. Just to do stuff. You know how you say you have no purpose for these random things? That's exactly what this was. It was just an excuse to have another IP address in my dorm room. So,
Good job.
That's why. On CPUbenchmark.net, it's telling me AMD
Oh, it's like
3D.
at the very bottom.
So the K6-3D is like 10 times better than the K6-2.
Well, so we can calculate off of this. The benchmark for the K6-3D is 90. And it is second from the bottom. So therefore, the benchmark for his is all of 9.
I was thinking it would be double digits compared to...
I gotta see what mine is. We gotta compare. Let's see.
What was your first?
Oh, my first one? I don't remember what my first one was. But my current one...
Should be about 9,100.
9262. So it's approximately
a lot times
about 1,000 times more.
Yeah, basically.
So this was also back in the day for overclocking, rather than having overclocking tools in the BIOS where you can actually like text-based set what you want your clock speed to be, change the voltage. You had jumpers on the motherboard, physical little plastic clad metal pieces that would close off to jumpers. And on the motherboard, there's a table of jumper positions and frequency and voltage. And rather than, what you're supposed to use those for is you buy the processor. The processor is a 400 or a 450 megahertz. You'll set your jumpers correctly, and then you install the CPU so that it runs at the correct speed. Well, I saw on my motherboard that I could make my CPU run at 600 megahertz.
Oh no.
So what did I do?
You started a fire.
I changed the jumpers to 600 megahertz. It ran for about 2 minutes.
But those 2 minutes, let me tell you,
The fastest that thing had ever run.
it got a blazing benchmark of 12.
I think it was 11.4. May have
We're
gotten.
being nice.
Yep, that was my free computer experience.
I got some use out of them after wiping all of them.
I'm not looking at any of the other contents.
Definitely not. I repurposed several as single-purpose kiosk computers for various applications. I gave one to my dad because one of his offices is at home actually, so he's got an office in a major city and then also at home. And he sits there and like you're out of Mountain Dew. He sits there and works, and he likes to listen to radio while he works, and he uses like iHeartRadio or whatever. So I built one that literally, I was so proud of how locked down I had it, and it ran for years before it finally bit the dust. I could probably revive it still, but like we would turn it on, and there is a single icon on the desktop. It was running some flavor of Linux. A single icon on the desktop, which has been blown up to about that big. And you can double click. There are no other control. You can't even turn it down via You can't turn it off via software. There's no volume. No, like networking is locked out. I preset that up. Like you turn it on with the button. You turn it off with the button. You double click this one thing. Google Chrome opens in kiosk mode. One page, you can't load anything else. I was really happy with myself.
Now, how have you done that? And today was the first day that you'd ever seen Vi before.
Because Vi is of the devil.
I did it all.
I've had that experience.
Yeah.
It's not
so
fun.
You guys are both in OS class.
Yeah. He was just like, oh yeah, you guys have spoken this language. We're like,
He forgot that
we've never seen this
He
before.
forgot he hadn't covered Unix commands yet. So
Oh, really?
Just a small
we
detail.
just jumped right in, and we were kind of looking at each other like,
Yeah.
I guess this learning curve is higher than we thought. So we rolled with it. We just made it work.
Well, because he kept on asking us questions like, oh, so what's the command for creating a folder in this? Or yeah, but we had no idea because we never done it before. We never seen it.
So there's a black book over there with white letters. You see it? Linux?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the Linux Bible. Take that with you to class from now on. No. You guys should also buy the Linux Bible.
I mean, you already pretty much have the hardware.
verse 12.
Well, in the intro
I
class,
wish that's
you
how
only
it
do
was
like
written,
the
but
first
it's
4
not.
chapters.
Logic in there.
4 verse 7, and Linus Torvalds did say,
I was waiting for this.
and Richard Stallman replied, Lo, verily hath I said unto thee.
Red Hat shall only be used for business.
And free software is where it's at, man.
I feel like you just stared at the picture of the guy and gave him a voice.
It works. It works. So anyway, OS class, you guys are diving into Linux now. You're enjoying scripting. I hope you enjoy scripting.
Oh, it's a ball.
It's good. So I had, rather than taking the Intro to Unix, which Intro to OS actually used to be called Intro to Unix, and we decided to broaden it out a little bit. Rather than taking that class, I skipped it and went straight to the Systems Administration class, which is the part 2 of that. I had Mark Woodhouse for that, and he taught us scripting. That was pretty much like the entire class was how to do stuff in Linux with scripting languages. And then when I went down to the lab for my second summer down at the lab, that was what my boss asked me to do. It's like, we have these scripts. I need you to do this. Can you do that? It's like, yes, perfectly prepared for exactly that job. Just great.
Almost you could say this is the internet. You might not want to say where you were.
The lab.
The lab. Okay. I wasn't sure if you mentioned
that.
Yeah.
Temperature science.
Yes. Can we just...
We must.
I work for Black Mesa.
Oh, I feel like that needs to be called that now.
Back to the
from now on, just
gaming
references.
We do what we must because we can.
Has everybody played Portal?
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Josh.
Have you played it?
Sharon, I personally have not. I've watched people play it. I have not. I was told I need to play it, but
Get up
time.
right now.
Seth, calm down.
I will give you the password to my computer. You go into my room and you start playing.
after this.
We'll finish this. You go right now.
But I'm the host. Kind of.
Portal's fun.
It
Portal
is.
a lot of fun.
The commentary is wonderful.
Yeah, I love being
The story's
insulted
great.
when it's not me.
No, because I watched Jacksepticeye and Moistgrim, but his name's Bob. Both YouTube gamers, but they were just...
YouTube gamers.
Like me.
So
I'll
rather than play
comment,
the game,
like-
you're satisfied with watching other people
No,
play
there are games like I would love to play, but like I have a Mac. I know it's not meant for gaming. Therefore,
Amen.
I have to say, I'm with Josh on this one. Watching people play games can be as entertaining as
because sometimes they're just pure idiots.
I know that may not be a popular view, but it's great.
as entertaining or a good approximation in a different way.
I have enjoyed Minecraft way more watching other people play Minecraft.
Yeah, no, because like I've been told like it's more fun to play with other people, and I definitely agree because like I tried playing it like by myself like on tour last year because like I had nothing to do. I was trying to kill time. I was like, sure, let's play Minecraft. Why not? Because I think we were in a zone where there was like the bus Wi-Fi wasn't working, so I was like, sure, why not? And I'm just kind of like, this is not as much fun like by myself, but yeah.
Well, and a good story-driven game, like if I don't have time to play through a game, but I still want to know the story, like Halo 5. I don't have an Xbox One, so yay, I don't get to play, and no, I don't have time to play Halo 5 anyway, but I watch a playthrough online, and now I get the story of Halo 5, so I'm caught up with the universe, but I haven't played through it.
Yeah, I was definitely told to play this, but like it never got around to it. In the last episode, we were mentioning that Travis got like Carrie and Ray to play it, I think. She still has the footage somewhere. It's been a while since I've seen this, but I vaguely remember it and just remember like both of them just having a hard time with this game and just struggling.
Which game?
I believe it was Portal.
Playing the co-op?
No, I think they were playing like they took turns.
Playing single player. The co-op is great.
You know, like because that was the one I watched like recently, and it's just
There's some really cool maps that have been made by people.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Community levels, yeah. For sure.
Like I think one of the coolest ones not the coolest, but one of the cool ones that we did. We got into this place, and you know, like those little puzzles where you have to like tilt the table so that like the ball comes around and doesn't fall in the holes.
Oh no!
Imagine that, but you can only control one rotation. And then your partner is on the other side of the map, and he's controlling the other rotation.
Yeah.
And so you had to eventually get this ball.
What
And the
game
worst
are we
part,
talking about?
this is
Portal
still
2.
this is Portal 2, multiplayer, co-op.
The community levels and
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of like tilting things or like rolling balls or anything.
Have you played Portal 2?
I have all the way through.
Yeah, no, but you can create your own maps. So some people create
I
these
guess
ones
I haven't
for really
gotten
great.
into that part of it.
Anyways, but yeah, no, it was really cool. And what was frustrating is we got on the first try. And as we're walking back, I accidentally dropped the ball in a pat of acid. It took us another like 45 minutes to finally get the thing to work. Oh, he was mad.
We did it. Why did we have to do it over again?
Oh no!
Portal 2 is one I played with my wife.
Yeah.
It makes her nauseous after about half an hour, so that's about as long as we get to play. But she actually enjoys that one, so that's.
The story's fun. It's
yeah. And the narrator insults you the whole time. And it's just wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Oh yeah, it's
Borderlands 2 is similar. It's wonderful.
Haven't played that one. No.
Favorite
Hi,
villain.
how are you doing? Oh, that's great because I'm a potato.
It doesn't make sense to anybody who hasn't played the game.
Play the game.
Play the
No,
game. There you go.
do it. If you have a friend who has it, play the game.
To all of you out there watching, you just lost the game.
Oh, why'd you have to
would
play
you do
that
this?
card?
You just said the game. I
Have
can't
you
help
Why?
Have you been on this show before?
it. Yeah. No longer, apparently.
Thank you, Dan, for joining us. We'll see you next week.
The door's there.
We'll have our people call your.
No, you
Our
won't.
people call your people.
I don't have people.
No.
I was thinking we should have like an inside joke podcast.
Oh gosh.
And we could talk about all of the CIS inside jokes.
But we don't have to explain them. We just tell.
We
them.
just.
We just.
That was better than what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking that we would like bring new students like up to speed. Like, oh, if you want to know why downloadmoreram.com is funny in certain circles, go watch our inside
watch the
joke
podcast.
podcast.
Oh no,
and
we
then
just.
we'll
we
explain.
I was about to
have a
explain
list
it, but
of
I'm like,
inside jokes.
that defeats the purpose of what we just
we
talked
don't
about.
tell people what they mean.
No.
Spend a solid 10 minutes giving red versus blue quotes.
Fire safety is about sharing.
I still have to watch that. I'm so behind on life.
That's an old one. That's from like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I too understand this reference and find it humorous.
You've heard the prison joke, right? So a guy goes to prison, okay, and he's sitting in the lunchroom, and guy shouts out 37, and they all just burst into laughing.
Yeah.
Okay? A little while later, everybody's
I've kind of heard this one.
5, everybody bursts out into laughing. Yeah. And finally, the guy pipes up enough courage to ask one of the other inmates, like, what in the world's going on? It's like, oh, well, we've all been here long enough that, we know the same jokes, we've numbered them all, and so when somebody wants to tell a joke, they just give the number, and we know which joke they're talking about. I don't remember the punchline to this joke.
I got it.
Okay, go for it.
So he's like, okay, let me give it a shot. So he goes up to the microphone in the prison, and he's like, 517, and everybody just like bursts out laughing. They are like rolling in the aisles and crying. He's like, what did I say? We've never heard that joke before. So he's like, okay, I'll try another one. 3,812, and just dead silence. What's wrong? You told it wrong.
I forgot. Like I know it had like a sad dead end where it's like, how dare you type ending. But
see, I only know how jokes begin. I missed the punchlines. So
that could be an innovative form of stand-up comedy.
oh
you
gosh.
actually kind of missed I was gonna have an inside joke podcast because I'm not inside on any of the jokes. I was hoping that you guys would. I just want to know why it's funny. I feel that way a lot when students get texts in class and then they're like, what's so funny? Nothing. No, I want to know. That's why I ban all technology use in my class. No more of this inside joke nonsense.
We actually don't have anything electronic in the computer classroom.
No,
That's right,
not
that's
at all.
right.
We have abacuses and
That is technology and has thus been banned.
electronic. I just said electronic. I guess technology. You might be able to text with an abacus. You wouldn't.
Morse code. Tap, 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 tap.
I was thinking visually,
gosh.
but I like that too. I mean, we have to ban pencils.
Oh gosh.
Okay, he taps 2 blacks and a red and a yellow.
No.
That was good.
It's like a new version of like keep talking, no one dies or explodes. Because that one's flashing, I don't feel like changing the battery.
We can call it good. Happy Pi Day.
Yeah,
everybody.
Happy Pi Day.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can give a big thumbs up and click over here to subscribe to the channel, be notified whenever we upload new content. And go click over by where Seth is now to see our previous podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
On a future episode of this podcast, we talk about our hardware builds. Mine's the best. It's incredible. It's amazing. Nobody's got a better hardware build than I do. Nobody. You know it. I know it. See you next time.
Travis might argue otherwise. Maybe.